Can you react to Elise Cappelle's video essay that focuses on you too? The left is too problematic.
Twitch streamer Hasanabi posted an inbox asking for period advice. The Texas governor Rick Perry was also sent hand-knitted and crocheted uteruses through the mail. Today, one of the most prominent figures of left-wing vulgarity politics is Twitch streamer Hasanabi. Coming from the Young Turks, he has built a strong fan base. He has converted a lot of people to left-wing values and is therefore part of the US political landscape. Hassan's popularity comes from his authenticity and rejections of both conservative and liberal politics. During his streams, he educates his audience on left-wing politics, including class struggle, feminism, trans rights, anti-racism, etc. He's been classified as part of the dirtbag left, which is itself described as an anti-fascist, anti-conservative, anti-centrist, anti-liberal ideology, anti-political correctness, anti-inequality, has disregard for civility, opposition to the wealthy, and support for redistributive economic policies. The dirtbag left isn't worried about not pleasing everybody. It doesn't care about electability. It rather seeks to breach politics with entertainment to make left-wing politics fun. But among all the antis, one is causing more problem than the others: anti-political correctness. That's precisely this aspect of the dirtbag left that has caused Hasanabi a lot of trouble. I personally regularly watch.
She's very clear in her use of language, and yet the auto-generated subtitles are being an absolute fucking asshole to her for no reason.
Watch his content, as I find most of his takes to be very good, and I'm happy to see him stay strong and compensate for the influence of conservative institutions like Fox News, the Daily Wire. On the other hand, I'm sometimes taken aback by the gym bro casual misogyny and the fact that his lifestyle doesn't always align with his values, which is something I think people with influence should be conscious about. But Hassan is left-wing. He's a socialist, he's pro-feminism, pro-trans rights, pro-minority rights in general. And he's also proof that being left-wing doesn't mean being virtuous. And that is something people...
I mean, gym bro misogyny for working out? No, I mean, first of all, didn't she say you shouldn't be buying expensive shit? Yes. Of course people say that. Everyone says that all the time. It is a byproduct of like liberal liberal consumer-based activist attitudes, okay? It's just, that's what it is. I don't really personally care. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's virtuous to like buy. I don't I'll just explain it like this, as I always do. Okay? Yeah, I buy dumb shit. Okay? Of course I do. I like it. You know, it's not, I'm not buying it to like advance the socialist cause or whatever. Like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, no, I have money. I have a lot of it. And I like buying shit for myself that is like insanely within my budget, I guess. And also, I think everyone should be able to buy dumb shit. You know what I mean? That's why I always get mad whenever motherfuckers are like, oh, you have an EBT card, but you're buying steak. It's like, why? Or when people say, oh, you're on the government dime, but you're buying drugs. I'm like, why not? Like, people should every now and then have the capacity to enjoy themselves. If they enjoy a little bit of alcohol consumption in moderation, if they enjoy a little bit of drug consumption in moderation, like, why the fuck should people not be able to do that? Just because you're poor doesn't mean you should be, you should only be living in the way that like people have decided for you. And the same goes for, what I do as well. I don't think I'm like buying anything that is exceptional. Okay? It's not like I'm fucking going around buying yachts or buying anything that's unethical in regards to, buying homes, multiple homes so I can be a landlord or anything like that. I don't like the austerity metrics that we abide by or we have to abide by. I'm a human being. I'm a normal guy. And I think it's fine. That's your anarchist streak? What do you mean? Saw people going crazy on a woman because she treated herself to an expensive meal for Christmas when she was homeless. Let people do them. Yeah, that's like, it's very, very, very frustrating. Bourgeois guilt goes to 11 with leftists. Yeah, I have no guilt purchasing shit I have no guilt purchasing stuff that I have the capacity to buy. And neither should you. Are you ashamed of being rich, and should rich people be ashamed of it? I say yes. I think it's important to stay as humble as possible. So if shame is the mechanism that allows you to stay humble for, the wealth that you have generated for yourself, then good. Yeah, the Depop resellers are 100 times worse than you. Yeah, I saw a tweet. This is such a fucking Zoomer specific tweet, but I saw a tweet that said, Depop resellers are the landlords of our generation. It's such a funny fucking take, dude. You are super patient to put up with this rhetoric. They're directing too much criticism to where you advocate for virtuous action when the right deserves this far more, and even some of the left, but not you. I wholeheartedly believe you're consistent on the letter, on moral grounds for the things you advocate for. You aren't telling people to spend as much as you anyway. I mean, like, dude, I make idiotic consumer purchases. Everyone does. Like, literally everyone does. And they do it at their own level of finances, right? Everyone does it. I mean, every single person in this chat has done an insane thing that they've purchased. And that's perfectly valid. It's a part of being human, okay? I place no virtue in that level of consumption, especially when it's like frivolous spending. You know what I mean? Like an impulse buy, or even something that you purchase that you want to purchase. You know what I mean? That you always wanted. Like buying a Porsche instead of a Tesla. No, that was not an impulse buy. That was actually literally incredibly well thought out. Yes. And I stand by that decision every day of the fucking week. What do you mean? I bought a Taycan, bitch. It's like infinitely better than a Tesla. As someone who's driven Teslas, it's like, dude, I don't fucking. What are your thoughts on consumer activism? If it's like I only buy clothes from union-made sources, I mean, I don't. I try to source all of my, when I'm selling clothes in the form of merchandise, I try to make sure that that is as ethical as possible. Okay, but like, the fuck do you mean? I don't buy only from union-made sources. Like, that's an insane thing. This does not mean that there is no cap. And I don't mean that in an on a stack type way. There is no like cap on what kind of spending is insane. Yes, I think that if I was out here buying like a fleet of vehicles, okay, multiple cars, even then it's like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's like people, my sentiment on like purchasing shit is that it is completely silly to just hyper focus on that. It's just a very expensive hobby. What do you mean? What's a very expensive hobby? When people shame you for buying an expensive item when you're not a materialistic person. Yeah, I mean, motherfuckers have Warhammer 40K figurines. You know what I mean? That shit's expensive as hell. Some people are really into cars. I'm not one of those people. You know what I mean? I'm not. So those Mischief red boots are insane. You got to admit. Yeah, insanely ugly. But if I like a piece of clothing that I've always wanted to buy, like I talked with the Throwing Fits guys about this. When I was poor, okay, or when I didn't have a lot of money, because there was points in my life when I had affluent beginnings, okay? My parents never let me buy anything, but it doesn't matter because I had affluent beginnings regardless. But when I was living on my own as an adult, okay, I wasn't fucking rich. I wasn't even wealthy. I was actually broke as fuck. And when I was broke as fuck, I always wanted nice clothes. I just never had the capacity to purchase them. Why are people treating this one criticism of you as she's shitting on you? No, she's not shitting on me at all. I'm sorry. I wanted to mention this. This person is not shitting on me at all. It's just something that I think about a lot. Yeah, no, and it's perfectly fine for a fan of mine or someone who watches me and you guys as well to disagree with certain things. The goal is to change people's relations with the means of production. The goal is not to necessarily fucking decide who gets to purchase what. That's, I think, kind of stupid. In my entire life, unless I dramatically change how I make money, I do not foresee myself getting to a level of wealth that would dictate that I am like a system-changing level of wealth, and instead of, I guess, I don't know, arming revolutionary groups in the third world or something, I just use all of the resources to fucking buy yachts. Crazy how much people bastardize the house thing too. People to this day think that you bought it cash and that's some Playboy mega mansion. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a nice house. Anyway, let's keep watching.
Believe in the religiously infused good versus bad, virtuous versus evil paradigm struggle to accept. The left-wing movement.
But I do agree. You don't have to be a good, virtuous person to be a leftist. Okay? I think we associate leftism with virtue because everyone deep down inside operates under the assumption that sharing is fucking caring. Okay? It's a $2.7 million house. Motherfucker, you're saying that, but like your mom and dad are living in the same exact house. It's just not in Los Angeles. Okay? Like, do not misunderstand me. It's a very nice house. But like the only reason why it's $2.7 million and not $400,000 or not $500,000 is because of where it fucking is. And I have no control over the fucking housing market. And I didn't buy it with cash, okay? Yeah, the dumbest part of the house saga is people acting like you pay cash for it. I know. People think like I just dropped 3 bills on a fucking house. Like I had a bag full of just, I had a bag full of Benjamins, and I just popped in, and I was just like, haha, instead of funding the orphanage down the street, I've decided to purchase this home with cash. It's like, no, man, I fucking put a down payment, and I pay a goddamn mortgage. Shut the fuck up. Average house in California is $700K. Bro, California is literally the size of nations. You really think that, like, where I live currently is the same as, like, the entirety of California? The fuck is this? Is people are so stupid whenever this conversation starts. There are plenty of fucking places where you can get you can get the same house for much cheaper. Why the fuck would I live there? That's not, this is my base of operations. This is where I live.
Isn't solely made of virtuous people, and it doesn't have to be.
Discourse concerning rich socialists. Like, whenever some big leftist, usually Hassan, buys something extravagant or whatever, shows off that he has money in any way, there's a conversation often had by conservatives, but also by good faith leftists, talking about how he's not an authentic socialist, about how it's hypocrisy or whatever. The argument that to be a leftist means being a good person. And no, it doesn't. It absolutely does not. But the point of leftism very much is not to come out with a new breed of human being, to pretend that we are somehow the elite group.
Yeah, this is such a good fucking take, dude, because it's just like, no, we watched this on stream before. It's true. Like you can be a fucking asshole even, okay? You can be a fucking asshole, okay? And still be a leftist. It's just like ridiculous. Your values are what matter, okay? And like the reality is I don't even think you're a fucking asshole for buying a house. I just don't. If I did, I wouldn't have bought it. You know what I mean? If I thought it was immoral to and antithetical to being a leftist, rather than what other people misconstrue as being a leftist, I wouldn't have done it, okay?
Of the best people who just do all the best things, and that's our ideology. All it is fart smelling. It's a fart smelling discourse. That's my take. Goodbye.
What's the line where someone has too much wealth? I don't know. People ask this question all the time. I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's like the distinction made in the past. The distinction made in the past was obviously your relation to the means of production. I think that still holds a little bit of value, but ultimately, we are at the precipice of labor billionaires. You know what I mean? Done what? You behave in the exact same way as all other streamers, media personalities do. You're the same as them. You accumulate capital using leftist aesthetics. Yeah, I definitely do that. As in, like, the leftist concepts and the leftist values are not what I truly firmly believe in. You're right, Aslan, I'm suicidal. You're so smart. I didn't even say anything yet. 25-month subscriber? What the fuck? Why? Dude, every fucking argument is literally just like, I personally am losing my mind, so I'm just going to fucking yell at you right now because I don't have enough money to go to the therapist. So, like, this makes me feel good. What the fuck is this? Please. Chatter, if this frustrates you, if this hurts your feelings, I suggest you take a day off, okay? God damn. How the fuck do so many long-term community members turn into, like, weirdos like this on a dime? Anyway, my point is, it is not a virtue nor a vice to go out and, like, fucking buy a house, especially a nice house, okay? Not. There's no value associated with it. Now, does that mean that you can just fucking turn around and, I don't know, buy a chateau, a castle, buy a fucking home that like displaced, I don't know, disrupted the natural ecosystems and like displaced an orphanage or some shit. No, I mean, obviously there's like limitations to that. It's more vibes based for the most part. And that's the reason why a lot of people use the vibes of, a lot of people use their arbitrary line to say that's bad and whatever. But ultimately, I think that this has absolutely nothing to do with, being a leftist. Now, something that I always mention is being a leftist grifter, right? Like whenever people say you accumulate money by adopting leftist aesthetics, I find that to be strange because if that was the case, if this was a profoundly lucrative line of work, you would have more people going left rather than going right. And it's always people going right on the internet. So, like, if you yourself are a leftist, how the fuck do you see the world every goddamn day and you see so many motherfuckers on the right with massive audiences, with $50 million fucking contracts that are being given to them, okay, with billionaires lining up their fucking pockets and go, no, it's actually, leftist entertainment is literally the grift. To be fair, there are a few leftists like Dore and Lawrence Southern, etc. Jimmy Dore literally went right. What are you talking about? He went independent and went right. And the second person you just mentioned is unironically a white supremacist. What the fuck are you saying right now? Did you just use an example of people going left as a part of their grift and mention a white supremacist who worked with white supremacist terrorists and a guy who literally is just straight up on his right-wing tilt? I think deep down you have to recognize a cognitive dissonance that takes you specifically to live a balanced life as a financially successful capitalist. No, it doesn't take any cognitive dissonance to recognize that because you do not understand the fundamentals of the things I talk about. Okay? If I was a capitalist, I would be accumulating capital. Okay? I would dump the money that I earn, okay, on this website into accumulating capital. The difference between your home and a house that you purchase specifically to rent out is that one is a home that you live in. Thank you, has too many channel points for the 10 gift subs, versus a house that you bought as capital. But unfortunately, a lot of you do not understand this distinction, and that's fine. You literally come to me to recognize the distinction, right? You're supposed to be. You're supposed to not know. I get that. This is the fundamental misunderstanding. I think the metric is we can materialistically expect to provide this for everyone outside of capitalism. If yes, then I think there's no reason to not live your best life. It's not expensive but material excess. That doesn't mean no inequality, just less waste of resources. We can afford to put everyone in a house as nice as yours. We choose not to. Yeah, I mean, maybe not single family zoning, probably, but.
In FD Signify's recent video, Hassan commented on the phases of cancellation he faced and concluded the following.
People make it seem like you're a bad person, you're a villain, you're right. Immoral. They have to moralize their content consumption, and they have to also moralize like the kinds of content that they don't like. And this is ironic because this is a very liberal tendency, because liberals have no way of doing materialist analysis. It's antithetical to their worldview, and therefore they like to harp on cultural signifiers. And ironically, that's why you get this, like, my consumption is saying something about my morals. That's why I'm consuming good things and not bad things. That's why there's so much cultural analysis.
Now, the criticism that is addressed to Hassan is often the criticism addressed to the debate bro sphere in general. And I want to separate Hassan from that sphere in a way. Vulgarity is no longer used as a way to fight against the powerful, to appear authentic, but rather to distance oneself from the wokes. In other words, political incorrectness becomes synonymous with hate speech. So we have three things happening at the same time. One, the respectable left, party politics left, rejects vulgarity to appear electable, legitimate. Second, the woke left, I hate the term, but you know more or less what I'm referring to, tend to have a very strict moral compass to ensure the left-wing movement is as virtuous as it can be. And third, the not like the wokes, leftists, that don't believe in morality, are okay with being perceived as evil, and tend to turn vulgarity towards the powerful into political incorrectness against the powerless. And while that does not constitute the left in its entirety, it is the image people have of the left. That's why I wanted to make this video, to remind ourselves of the people who don't fit into those boxes. Those who fought against the powerful using average people's tools, vulgarity being one of them, and who knew what they did was wrong according to most people's standards of what is right or wrong, but who did it anyway, opened doors and said what most people were scared to say out loud. Those people did not believe in objective morality, but they believed in doing what they thought was right for them at that time. And that is exactly what we mean with a term like avant-garde, where the
What's really funny about her, what's really funny about this like scene that she has is that it's the exact same color grade, is the exact same color scheme as the when the stream F's on Twitch thing that pops up. So every time that pops up, I'm like, oh fuck. Yeah, it just looks like a not like this Twitch F screen. Anyway, yeah, I mean look, she's right. Okay. She's right. I'm not gonna conduct myself in a way that is, appropriate by everyone's standards, but I shouldn't need to. I'm just doing my own thing. How about you do yours? You know what I mean? That's all I got. Your vulgarity makes you appealing to right-wingers? Good. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm a human being. I'm imperfect. I make idiotic fucking purchase decisions, and ultimately, if you think that says something about my personality and you can't fucking support me, then that's fine. My point is, I'm a fucking normal dude who, happened to be very successful because you got very lucky. Okay. I work hard, certainly, but luck is a major factor, as it is in everyone's lives. Okay. And in everyone's accomplishments. The channel is Elise Cappelle, by the way. She's a Hasanabi head as well. I think this is a thoughtful video. Go check it out. Give it a like. Something I always like to stress is that, you should probably stop hyper focusing on what individual spending looks like. Or even when we're talking about problematic figures, stop hyper focusing on individuals. Recognize that they are products of the system itself and focus on systems themselves. Be kind to individuals, be ruthless to systems, as, Michael Brooks used to say. Rest in power, Michael Brooks. Be ruthless to institutions and systems and be kind to individuals. As far as like my own brand, or the way I conduct myself, it might not be up to par with what your expectations are of a leftist content creator. But, I've had this exact same expectation from people. When I had 35 viewers, people wanted to change the way that this stream worked when I had 35 viewers. And people still want to change the way the stream works when I have 35,000 viewers. Clearly, it is what it is. You're not going to agree with it. If you enjoy it, enjoy it. Stop placing so much emphasis and so much value on it. I would be drinking my ass off dealing with this fucking community. No, I was thinking about that earlier. Like, this is drama related, but Doodoo Daff, friend of the show, 39 Daff, wrote an apology. I'm not going to talk about it too much. We're moving on. But she wrote an apology to white people for like literally the crime of defending me and during my cracker saga. And like, she's been cyber stalked nonstop and harassed nonstop in the identical ways in the identical ways that I have been for, 4 years, 5 years now. Many of you are familiar with that. Or not 4 years, I think 3 years. But regardless, not everyone has the capacity or should have to deal with that kind of thing. So she apologized, hoping that would like get people off her back a little bit. And, things that these people do, things that, these fucking cyber stalking weirdos do is just like, try to destroy every interaction that you might have with other people, destroy interactions that you might have with brands, to like try to take you down, try to like push you into a dark corner and have you become like unbearable. And if you don't know how to navigate through that space, and many people don't know how to navigate through that space because like why the fuck should they? It becomes impossible to operate. And I mean, you see the consequences of that happening to me specifically. Misconstruing people's statements and sentiments, and then turning around and like trying to cloud every interaction that you have, being in your replies on Twitter, fucking spamming it 2 years later, being like, this guy that you're talking to is actually an anti-white racist, watch out, that kind of thing. People do that, and they're fucking mentally ill, and there's nothing you can really do about it. There's no way to deal with it. People do not have a good understanding of how to deal with it. I think it's insane, but yeah, I understand why people do that. Oh, I brought that up because and this kind of, I guess, ties back to fame and success, but yeah, I mean, I realized that this is something that I shouldn't have to deal with, but I deal with on a daily basis, every single fucking day. And it's not look at me, my life is so shitty. But I did think back to a time when I was like just up and coming on Twitch before I had to like think about every little thing I say because of how it might get misconstrued and weaponized for years and years later. Before all of that, I definitely did have more mental clarity. Like I was definitely a happier person.